Hi, I'm Jack, and I do things. If you're finding yourself in this little corner of the internet, it's probably fair to say that, like me, you have been eagerly awaiting the return of the Great British Sewing Bee. Seriously, I've been waiting since March. Well, my friends, the wait is finally over. Tonight, Series 9, Episode 1 will air at 8 p.m. on BBC 2. Some of you might be interested to know that I actually applied for this current series of Sewing Bee. I didn't get in, obviously, but I'm over it. I'm not bitter. I'm totally over it. And in the spirit of being totally over it and not fussed about not getting on the show, I want to join in. For the last couple of years, I have kind of been thinking about doing a bit of a sew-along. Well, with the advent of this channel, I thought now was pretty much the perfect time to do so. So that is what I'm going to do. I thought I would set myself a little challenge to do a sew along every week for the 10 weeks that the Great British Sewing Bee airs. Will it work? I suppose we'll find out over the next 10 weeks. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the Sewing Bee, it is a British reality competition show where a group of amateur sewers compete against each other in one of the least competitive environments in reality TV, which is part of the reason I really love it, actually. To be crowned Britain's best amateur sewer. Every week they're put through 3 challenges. The pattern challenge, where they are given a standard pattern where they have to recreate it, usually in about 4 or 5 hours. The transformation challenge, in which they're given an existing garment or a piece of fabric. For instance, a few years ago they were given a parachute that they had to transform into something fabulous. It's basically an upcycling challenge. And lastly, the made to measure. This is where they're given a model whom they have to fit the specific garment to whichever brief that they've been given perfectly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the beauty of the show. Usually the weeks are themed. The first week is often a very basic kind of like wardrobe staples. Start them off easy. That's usually the way. But they also have things like holiday week, winter week, lingerie week, menswear week. And often every year they will have a historical week as well. They'll revisit a certain decade. I'm not sure what they've got left, actually. They've done pretty much every recent decade. So unless they start going back into Victorian or Edwardian, or maybe I suppose they might do 90s. Technically that's history, which is incredibly depressing. We'll find out, I suppose. Every week the contestants are judged on the garments that they produce by 2 judges. Patrick Grant, who is a tailor and menswear specialist who works at Savile Row, and Esme Young, who is a designer and a teacher at Central St Martin's School of Fashion. Side note, I am actually currently reading Esme Young's memoir, Behind the Seams, and for anyone who's interested in Sewing Bee, interested in fashion, interested in the sort of fashion scene of the 60s and 70s in London, I really would recommend this. I'm having a wonderful time reading it. I'm about halfway through and I'm loving it. Would recommend to anyone interested in Sewing Bee and who loves it, go and read this. It's really, really good fun. Every week at the end of each show, one contestant is awarded Garment of the Week to the item that the judges deem the best sewn, the best designed, etc. And one person is selected to go home. So now we know the rules of the show. What about the rules of the challenge? Rule number 1. I'm mainly going to be focusing on one of 2 of the challenges, the pattern challenge and the made to measure. I may also tackle a transformation challenge if neither of those things marries with something that I particularly want to do, or if I have something in my stash, if that corresponds with one of the challenges, one of the transformation challenges, then I will tackle that one. But it will mainly be either the made to measure or the pattern. Rule number 2, I don't have to stick religiously to the brief set by the judges. This is mainly because all of these items are items that are going to go into my wardrobe. They need to be wearable. They need to be things that I will want to pick up. Obviously, some challenges will not correspond perfectly to my style and the things that I want to do, in which case I'm going to need to think around it. I'm going to need to think a little bit strategically in order to make something that is going to really work for me. Rule number 3, where I can, I am going to be using fabrics that I already own. I don't have the biggest fabric stash, but I do have quite a few fabrics that are just sitting here that I've not really found a use for yet. Basically use this as a bit of a de-stashing exercise. The more I can do that, the better. If those fabrics are not suitable for the things that I want to do, I'm going to try my hardest to use recycled or thrifted fabric where I can. The only time I may splash out on specific fabrics is if the challenge is one that I have already been thinking about making and really want to make. For instance, week 2 has presented me with the opportunity to make something that I've been thinking about making for a couple of years now. So gonna have to spend out for those things. But there were things that I was thinking about doing anyway. So it's just giving me the push I need. That's okay, right? Rule number 4. I will not be sticking to the time limits. I already find it very difficult to sew quickly, and as I said before, these are items that I want to go in my wardrobe. So if getting them right and getting them well made is going to take me a little bit longer, I'm going to take that time. I may keep an eye on how long it takes me in terms of comparison. That might be fun, but yeah, no. Time limits, no, just no. So why am I doing this? The main reason, I thought it would be really fun. I mean, I don't really need much more of a reason than that, I suppose. I have also been a little bit frustrated with my wardrobe of late. I would really like to give it a little bit more of a rejuvenation, add in a few pieces that I may not have originally thought about. I'm also very excited to challenge myself. I mean, this whole thing is a challenge, but to really challenge myself in terms of techniques that I may never have had the confidence to just make off of my own bat. So I think this would be a really good way of stretching myself in terms of my sewing ability. I think it will also be a very good learning curve in producing videos quickly, especially sew-alongs. I've not done a sew-along yet, so that's going to be an interesting challenge to try and figure out how to film them. Wish me luck, I'm gonna need it. If you would like to join in with me, please do. Please comment on the videos and let me know what you're sewing. If you are planning on joining in, I would highly recommend going and Googling the scheduled air date for each episode. They have already put up information on the first 2 episodes, which means I know in advance what the challenges are going to be, so I can do a little bit of planning before the air date. So if you want that heads up as well, head over to the BBC website. I am so excited for this challenge. A little nervous, but mainly excited. If you want to follow along with me on this journey, it's going to be quite a roller coaster. Please do make sure to check back, or better yet, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Thank you very much for watching my video. I'll be back hopefully next week with the very first sew along. Wish me luck. In the meantime, happy sewing. Bye.